Yo, what is good, everybody? This your boy Sean, aka Puff Comics 83, and we are back with probably one of the most disturbing movies that you'll ever see. And we are talking The Hitcher from 1986 with Rutger Hauer, T. Thomas Howell, and I'm joined by my co-host, Varangian Vigilante. How are you doing, sir?
Doing well, looking forward to Friday, talking one of the most anxiety-infusing and most tense movies out there. I have read an interesting post in a German movie forum about The Hitcher, where somebody said that this is basically Jaws, but it's on the highway.
Rutger Hauer as Jaws.
Yeah.
That's disturbing already.
And yeah, Rutger Hauer is so good in it. Acting wise, I think this must be one of his best performances, like on par with Blade Runner. Because like his co-actors they were afraid of him, and not because he did anything method acting like, but just because in the scenes he played like the tense character of his highway killer so well that basically they had problems to distinct like Rutger Hauer from the character he was playing. It's this movie. On the one hand, it's so good, not only the acting, but also I think it's very underrated with its cinematography. The camera, it's so beautiful. It just came out in 4K. I have not seen the 4K yet. It's still here in Europe up for pre-order. But I think this is a movie that really will benefit from the 4K treatment. It's already out in the US.
I don't know. I forgot. I haven't really checked. But I will agree with you. The cinematography is amazing. The surrounding areas of, like I said, it's in the middle of nowhere. Right there in like I want to say Colorado. Because the main character was heading to California and he stopped
But as a European, when you watch it, you basically only think that between the coast is just desert anyway. So.
Yeah, but literally, like when you're driving and there's barely any cars around, and you're the only one on the road for a good stretch, it's like you're really in the middle of nowhere. And that's why when it comes to that, I'm like, I'm not stopping for nobody.
Yeah.
Don't stop with the Hitcher because he'll ruin your day.
I think this is such a unique U.S. American experience. Since I can, in Europe, it's so small, it's so populated that there are no really remote areas. Like you would have to be like in the forest, in the mountains, and then probably you're gonna stumble upon other tourists or something. But like these huge, desert highways, these interstates, like the US has. I think this is such a classic American story, with hitchhikers. Since of course this movie didn't invent like the hitchhiker horror. You have all these of course urban legends, as seen as in the movie urban legends that basically are about like hitchhiker murderers. So I think that's a European, very foreign experience, but it's also, I think this is one of the things that makes like the fascination of like US storytelling in an environment that we don't have here. That is maybe not in Australia. You maybe got it, but they're most definitely not in Europe.
It's like when you look at the movie Tremors and you see the location they're in, they're surrounded by mountains.
Yes.
And then when you look at this location in this film, it's surrounded by like deserts and that's it. And very, very small towns.
Yes, you know also what is, I think, one of the masterstrokes of this movie, what I just realized right now, is that despite you have like this vast, like the mountains, the desert, and everything, it's such an open movie because you have like really open range and everything, and yet it's so claustrophobic.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking too. I'm like,
Yeah,
you think it's so open, but yet you feel boxed in to the open.
yes, exactly. And I think this may be like one of the strongest selling points of this movie, next to the acting, is that you might think, hey, he could escape like in any direction, people, but no, it's like, because why? It's like the street. You're literally like railroading to your goal.
And that's exactly why the hitchhiker was able to keep up with him. He had nowhere to go because he was way in the distance watching.
Yeah.
And there's nothing that can cover his movements because he's literally just wide open. So he literally was boxed in by the hitchhiker through the whole film.
Yeah, and some people said he's like convenient, like at places, etc. Some people might say he might be a supernatural character, but it's like no, he's a highway killer that knows this highway, and it's a movie, so basically you need the presence of him, like especially when it's not on screen, and his presence is always lingering.
And another important fact is Ryder kills the people that he hitchhiked with. He was impressed by Hosley for surviving his encounter.
Yeah.
To the point where he was like, you know what? He's the one. I'm gonna stalk him around. I'm gonna make his life a miserable hell, and I'm gonna see if he got the guts to take me out.
I like the character of Stryker, and Rutger Hauer plays him so well. I think it might be one of the most evil characters in movie history, especially since he does it so casually, and he wants to be stopped, but it's almost, you really see he takes like no joy in what he's doing. It's almost like he just feels it's necessary, and I think this is way more creepier than like a serial killer that enjoys doing it, because the way like when he gets picked up by the protagonist, like in the beginning, when he just casually mentions, it's like, oh, with the car, like he didn't come for because of cut off his legs, and he described everything. He's like, and this is the same thing I'm gonna do to you. It's like the way he says it. It's, you can totally, in that, it's for the main character who plays it so well, like Jim Halsey. Like how he's shocked and how he can't believe it in the moment until he realizes this might be his end. And it was like, I absolutely love when he realizes, oh, the hitchhiker, like he has like the car protection on, so he like,
and the door was still open,
open. So he like, I don't want to die, and he like shoves him out of the car. This is such a fantastic setup. We know both characters because we don't really know the backstory of both characters, but at that point, at that moment, we already know what they're about, and you're immediately drawn into this movie, and from that point on, it doesn't let you go. Even at some points, I love splatter movies, I love horror movies, etc. But this movie, since it's such a realistic thing that it happens to people, sadly, and that it's such a hard watch.
The fact that it didn't rely on splatter, blood, excessive gore and stuff like that. It's something that the remake that came out a couple years ago relied on. And even the people was like, just because you throw the splatter and the gore and all that in, doesn't make it as compelling as the original. Because the original left it to your imagination, especially with Nash's death. It left it to your imagination.
Yes.
And you're traumatized right there with the Hosley that, that happened and how can you recover? And that was the changing point for his character.
Yeah. General, like I said, what this movie did such a great job, what it shows and what it doesn't show, is also very interesting because, of course, that also was part of discussions, with the rating, with the studio, what can be kept in, what can't. So I really think, the rough cut was around 3 hours, and they really managed.
Yes.
I think they really managed to make a perfect cut. Like, I wouldn't change anything about it.
Yeah, because you look at the runtime, it's an hour and 19 minutes. And for them to trim a 3-hour film down to an hour and 19 minutes and make it good, we talked about movies where, this movie feels incomplete. Where's the director's cut or the rough cut that we need to see to get the completeness of the film? This film does it so well to the point where you don't even think about it.
Exactly. And I think this is one of the movies where the episodic storytelling really helps. Since it plays a lot about it doesn't matter where Strike gets a car from, etc. Or you don't need to really see how he kills people. You just see him in a new car and it's like, well, I probably know what happened to the owner of that car.
But the family though was disturbing.
That was, I think this must be one of the most disturbing scenes in cinema history. When
John Ryder.
When Jim is in the car and he sees the car with the family passing, and then he sees the Hitcher on the backseat with the kids.
The way he popped up with the bear and then he popped the bear and it's him, I was like, oh no.
And when then Jim Hayes and Thomas Howell, when he sees the aftermath and he vomits, and this I think it's really tough to portray something more evil than this.
I mean, this man killed a family.
Yeah, and that's the thing that this movie, that basically the striker, he is like a death sentence. Some people even say he's evil personified.
And it's not really described how long he's been doing this.
Exactly, that's the other thing. It's and the way he does it, you can assume it's not his first rodeo.
No, it seems like he's been doing this for years. And there's nothing going on to stop it. And he's probably even tired of it himself. He just wants it to end.
Yes.
He has a sickness that is beyond help. And that he just wants somebody to end it.
Yeah, and he can't end it himself. This is... And also, I think it's so good that we don't know his backstory. I actually really appreciate also later, when the police gets him and he's this guy doesn't exist. They can't find any, not any license, no fingerprints, etc. This guy is a ghost.
They asked him where he's from. He said Disneyland.
Yeah.
Yeah, the mouse sent him to do this job. But yeah, it's crazy how when this movie really leaves it up to the viewer's interpretation of this character.
And I loved it. I absolutely loved it because everybody can project their own nightmares into this character, which makes the character even creepier. So this is like a movie that doesn't fuck around like with the audience. I mean, it fucks a lot around, but not in the way that it's like putting a whole like exposition upon them. This is a movie that doesn't takes the audience as stupid.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, and I like the fact that Hosley is trying hard to find help, and every time he finds help, it backfires because the police are after him just as much. Like he's trying to say that this guy, I picked him up, and now he's killed people and stuff, and then they're trying to put the blame on him because the hitchhiker set him up.
Yeah, that's so great, and also I think what is another strength of the movie is how it plays like with false security. So that every time that Jim might think, oh, he's like at a public place with people, he's at the police station. This might be a place, they think he might be a murderer, but at the end, like, at least he's safe at the moment. He ain't safe.
Bro, the crazy part is you wake up in the jail cell and the door is open, you go out, and then it's nothing but slaughter.
That troopers everywhere.
Damn.
Yeah, like this, like really, there is no moment to breathe in this movie. Like this movie does, it grabs you in the beginning and it doesn't let you go. And even until the end, when he kills Stryker ultimately after some close calls before, and even I think then you don't feel a relief at the end.
You know why? Because he's changed for the worse.
Yeah.
He did what Ryder wanted him to do.
Yeah.
And now he can't go back to what he used to be.
Yeah. I know
you see it in his face.
Yeah.
Everything has completely changed now.
I was today years old when I found out there's a sequel with the same actor. I have not watched it. I don't even know if I'm interested in watching it because I think that the great thing about the ending of the first movie is also that you can project a lot in it. That basically what is the ultimate goal of the Hitcher anyway? Like, is it basically a curse that he passed on?
I was thinking the same thing because the way how Jim looked at the end is like, now he's the new hitchhiker because he's stuck in the middle of nowhere. That Jeep ain't gonna start back up. It took forever for it to start up to take out him.
Yeah. So absolutely, I didn't think that this movie needed a sequel, because the ending it's so ambivalent, and it's good. It's great. And then they're doing good. It's great. It's a great ending.
It's a great ending because now you're in the mind of him, and he's like, after what he's been through, you're starting to feel the craziness come up, and now he's completely lost it, and he did exactly what the writer wanted him to do, and he can't go back to that. He can't drive to California knowing that he just murdered the man because of what that man tortured him through.
Mm-hmm.
So now he's the new Hitcher. Now the next person he picks up, he's going to get into that car. Or the next person that picks him up, he's going to sit into that car with that mental unstable mindset.
That's the thing. It's like it's very much up to interpretation, and also like not only that, but he was also basically his actions also doomed other people to their death. So it's also something he has to carry with himself. Like with Nash, for example, like she would probably still alive if she wouldn't have been caught up with him.
Yeah.
And of course, Nash, portrayed by the wonderful Jennifer Jason Leigh, which we also already talked about last week with Flesh and Blood. And Flesh and Blood was the reason why she wanted to be in that movie, because she wanted to work with Rutger Hauer again.
Even though they had less scenes together in here, she just wanted the opportunity to be in another movie with him because they had such great chemistry in Flesh and Blood that she wanted to be in this film. But unfortunately, he ain't forget what happened in Flesh and Blood. So he got his payback here. He like, you ain't playing with my emotions this time.
Yeah. That was also, this is also such a tense scene because, when he captures her and he puts her between the two trucks and he's like, and because out there is police, there is Jim, and he's like in there, he's like, shoot me. And he's like, I don't shoot you because then the truck will go off anyway and you'll be dead.
Yeah.
And I remember when I watched this movie for the first time, I did not expect that she would die in that scene.
And there's this whole debate on whether they should have shown it or not. Because that was the big point of the movie, is her death. Like, that was the key death that pushed Halsey over the edge.
Yeah.
And they a lot of people was up to debate on whether they should have actually shown it, because that was the selling point of this film, is that massive death right there.
Yeah.
And
I think
go ahead.
I think it was a good decision that it didn't show it, because it's the major death, and therefore by not showing it, everybody has that scene like in their head, and which makes the scene strong in my opinion.
Because you remember it, regardless of they didn't show it, but it happened, and now your mind is just thinking of the how it happened. We've seen a lot of D-rated movies that shows it.
Yeah.
And the one movie that comes to mind is what? The one we talked about for your birthday.
Violent Shit Free. Infantry of Doom.
and like I said, some movies make it comical, other movies make it look very nasty. But I feel like the way they did it in this film really leaves it up to the viewer's interpretation of it. And that, to me, leaves a much more psychological effect on the mind than anything else.
It is, when I watched this movie for the first time, I was thinking, like, I never want to watch this movie again. And yet here I am. It's one of these, I love horror movies. And I love the supernatural, I love the occult. But what really creeps me out is very human things.
Something that's beyond our scope that we can't handle, and then even if they don't show it, like, damn, I don't know if I can sit through this because of how creepy this character is.
Yeah, because with ghosts, demons, monsters, etc. They're just doing it because it's like, of course, doing it like monsters and demons and shit. But when a human does such acts, then it becomes more real, and then it's like, people like that exist. They shouldn't exist.
And that to me is what makes this movie so good, is that people like this do exist. And when we hear the stories, or when we hear the news reports on this person that's doing these violent acts, it's like these movies ain't far off from exploring real life situations.
Yeah, and that's the creepy part. It's like, that's creepier than any horror movie. And I think this must be one of the worst thrillers. I know there's a lot of European, French, I absolutely hate the genre, like, of this like the whole torture porn, etc., because they have no plots, and it's just, like you said before, that just having gore without having death and without having a good plot, it's just cheap.
That's how I feel like most of the deaths in Violent Shit 3 were.
But this was a comedy. That's different. It was like
I know.
It was a satire. And they had a flying guillotine in there, so it was also a homage to the Shaw Brothers.
But yeah, I definitely agree with you there. Like, all the gore and stuff sometimes don't really. You're just doing it for the sake of doing it.
Exactly. And
when you have a solid story with the gore, that can really like get you emotionally invested into it, like now you rooting for the characters not to die like this, then I can see using the gore. But when you just a Splatterhouse movie, then just for the sake of splatter,
exactly.
I'm just watching it just to see how people die.
Yeah,
a Thousand Ways to Die. Remember that show?
But yeah, like when you do it and make it like a comedy, etc., when you don't have a plot, but otherwise, I still think that if you do a thriller, that the Hitcher, it was the first movie of the director, which also just found out today. So fantastic work for a first-time movie, and yeah, because this is a movie you want to have it tense, you want to have it. Because I can't imagine watching this movie and anybody could be talking or eating popcorn like in the cinema. I think when you watch these movies and there are some scenes where suddenly you could really hear a needle drop.
It's very intense.
Yeah, and this is also like I said, this is a movie where I'm not ordering pizza or something because
I ate nothing. Like I got up, like let me just go ahead and watch this film now because I watched it on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to watch it Thursday because we live in the war and I want to watch that.
Yeah.
But I watched it Wednesday and I was like, let me get it out the way now so I can get my thoughts, process my thoughts on this film.
and it's like also the magic of this movie. Like you said, it's a struggle. On the one hand, it's a struggle to go through the movie. On the other hand, you can't stop. It's like a car accident. Literally like a car accident. Like you have to watch.
Speaking of car accidents, like you mentioned earlier about how Nash like got herself involved in it when she shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Once she got involved with it, man, the cops went all out to try and get them. And we got the one long car chase scene where cops are just falling over. Getting the whole sequence where he hit the brakes and the two cop cars shot each other and they flew up in the air crashing. What up, Kenneth? That was great. And then the helicopter came. They think, oh, it's over. And then out of nowhere, John Ryder shows up like he's a fucking hero. Like, get the hell out of here, man. He shoots the helicopter and he helps take out the cops. And then he disappears again. And that just shows you how much he's watching and keep involved because he wants to keep him alive for the main goal.
Yeah. And it's also what they also portray so well is really like his not his only his omnipresence but also like his omnivision. Like he just he knows where he has to be, when he has to be, and he knows his spot. Like this street is his home.
And it's like everywhere Halsey stops at, something's bad is gonna happen. Get the hell out of it, because now you're bringing danger to that place.
Yeah, like now that I watched the movie, I'm gonna eat burgers tomorrow, so I'm gonna check the fries.
Now I liked the character of Nash. I feel like this was another attempt to try and throw in a slight love interest. But I thought she was because she was hesitant on Halsey at the beginning. And then when they saw each other on the bus, when Halsey was on the run from the police, he remembered her and probably the only person he wanted to trust because she allowed him into the restaurant.
Yeah.
So that's how she got involved with his antics. And then when they had the conversation at the hotel, it's like, who's going to believe me in terms of, I got this person going around chasing, because she still haven't seen him up close.
And how long she's working there, like it's it's really it's there. This is something that's also interesting about the movie is that it almost seems like that normally the killer just takes out people that go through and since like at the beginning of the movie, since this is his core finale, like he goes all out.
Mm-hmm. And I also think that with how she gets to work, just taking the bus, like she has no vehicle to get around or nothing like that. So you can't really use her to drive or something because she's not a driver. So you're basically still stuck behind the wheel whenever you got to steal a vehicle.
Yeah.
And you got him out there just watching you in the shadows. So her getting involved, it helped Osley, but it was to the detriment of her.
Yes, because it also feels that Stryker didn't want anybody else to come between Jim and him. I know some people interpret it like as a homoerotic thing, which I absolutely not get when I watch the movie.
I hate when people want to bring that shit up like that's the first thing that comes to your mind.
Yeah, it's just more about you than the movie if this is the first thing that comes up to your mind.
I saw right from the get that it was something about Ryder that he saw in Halsey that this could be the one. Like I said, he survived my early encounter.
Exactly.
Pushing me out the car.
He fought back. He was thinking quick on the spot.
Like this could be the one that can be my challenge. And he ended up being the challenge because he had to work, to get back at him. So right then and there, the cat and mouse game between the two became much more serious.
Yeah, it's almost fourth wall breaking because Stryker basically really signals of basically knowing himself that he is the antagonist. And he found the protagonist finally.
Look at the scene after he escaped the police station when Ryder killed the police. He went to this next restaurant, sat down. He was tired as fuck. He covers his face, wiping his face, and Ryder comes sit right there with him. Now that's crazy. You think, oh, he got me. He might kill me. So he pulls the gun that he got from the sheriff, puts it under the table like, I'll shoot you. And Ryder's like, man, that gun's empty. You ain't gonna shoot. And then, Halsey is getting more and more paranoid to the point where he starts shooting, no bullets. Yeah. So he's screwed. He thinking Ryder might take him out right then and there. But you see that Ryder sees him as an important. Ryder told him, I want you the one that has to end it.
Yeah,
and he walked away.
And the way he plays it, they could not have cast a better actor than Rutger Hauer. Because played by somebody else, this movie could easily not have worked at all. But Rutger Hauer, because he's experienced in playing villain, but he's also experienced as a hero. He can really bring in this, when he he's like when you have like this wicked grin, this smile that he just feels so in charge, and just like he's like a force of nature, and it really feels like when he's in the scene, he controls the room, and even though the other person might have a gun or something, that he's not afraid
at all. He like you said, he's in control. When he was being interrogated by the police, it was like nothing to him.
Yeah.
No emotion, no nothing. Do a little comedy line, I'm from Disneyland. But that's it. The characters' mysterious vibes and stuff really adds to his psychotic nature. And how much of a force of nature he is that you're trying to run away from this man until you have to confront him. And that's why after Nash's death, Halsey had that mindset now where he's like, I got to end this. Because I can't run away from what he just did.
Yeah. And
he knew that he was going to escape from the police. This guy finds ways to get away.
Yeah. After the first encounters, he knew that basically if he involves, especially after Nash, after her death, he basically knew that if he involves other people, they can't help him. Nobody can help him but himself.
Yeah, because they'll look at him like, he needs to go to the crazy house.
Yeah.
Mental institution. Because of how warped out of his mind he is after her death and after what he went through. So right then and there, he just had a completely change of character. He went from being this young man that was just on a road trip to go take this car that he was driving to California, San Diego, to now he's like, he's completely lost it. This man has driven him off the rails. And once he told the sheriff, like, I need to do this, and he took the sheriff's gun and got him out of his Jeep to take it, I was like, yeah, he's on a mission to take this man out.
Yeah, like you said, the transformation from being the hunted to become the hunter. They did it perfectly.
And even that last scene where they were together, when he busts away from the cops, opened the door, and there's Jim, man, Ryder was so crazy, he jumped out the damn van.
Dive through the windshield.
Right through the windshield. I was like, this is one crazy motherfucker right here.
Yeah.
And that shows you Ryder just don't give a fuck. He like, oh, you're back. Let's party. And he jumped right through the windshield.
Yes.
This movie is so good. And then they get into a little scuffle, and what's his name had to stop hard to take him out of the car.
And that's also it's like also basically a trophy for Rutger Hauer's acting. There are scenes in there like these when he dives through the windshield that could look ridiculous if anybody else would have done it.
It was Rutger Hauer.
But it's Rutger Hauer, and it's like, fuck.
He makes the scene so damn good.
Yeah.
You just think about literally how crazy he is to do that. Like, this man with a shotgun in hand was willing to jump from one vehicle to the next just to reintroduce himself to the man he's been torturing all damn day.
Like I said in the pre-show, this movie should be mandatory for everybody who has a driving license. Like, no pickup hitchhikers.
And it's funny, I was talking to you earlier in the year about the TV show, The Hitchhiker. That came out in like '83. There was one episode, because the whole premises of The Hitchhiker is you got a guy, he's the narrator of the whole show. He's hitchhiking around. Whenever somebody passed by, he talks about that person's story, and then we get into that person's dealings. And I sent you one with what's his name? Klaus Kinski.
No. Who the fuck picks up Klaus Kinski?
Hey. But they didn't pick him up. He, like I said, the hitchhiker's just telling the story of the inventor of the stuff. Okay. And
Klaus Kinski would have worked too in this role.
Klaus Kinski would have. If he was the Hitcher in this, he would have played it serious, but at the same time, like, that man is scary as fuck.
Yeah, it's fucking Klaus Kinski. I was like, little lesson, don't pick up. I mean, he's dead now, but probably that doesn't stop him.
But who would you pick up, Klaus Kinski or Rutger Hauer?
No.
At least we know Rutger Hauer is a respectable person.
Yeah, in real life. Kinski very much is the monster.
I think Kinski is monster both sides, actor and real life.
Yeah. Fucking Klaus Kinski.
But yeah, like this movie is fantastic. The ending sequence with him finally taking out the hitchhiker with his own gun was just brutal. And even when the hitcher got up,
yeah,
it was like, see, You ran him over with the car, but it didn't finish him off. Now you have to pull him down with the gun. And then after he pulled him down, he just went to the car, lit a cigarette, with that same look on his face.
Yeah.
Complete.
And I really liked how Stryker was near, because he could have faked his own death at that moment. But he's like, no, we're not done here. It's like, you have to finish this.
Have to finish it. And that's what he was hoping to do. Because when he was trying to start the car, Rocket was waiting for him to do something. He really wanted him to finish the job. I started it with you. You're going to have to finish it.
Yeah. And like I said, I also interpreted the ending like that. Basically, he passed on like a curse that he's done now, and now Jim is it. So it basically was like a whole game of tag.
I would hate to pick up Jim if he was with his thumb up. After going through what he's been through, he's in such a psychotic state now. Like, a conversation would not be wise having with a person looking like that. And I think that's the beauty of this film. Like you said, the curse. This man, Ryder, was just crazy, and probably something happened to him similar to what happened at the end of this film, that he just kept doing it until somebody finally ended him.
And that's the wonderful thing. We don't know, but we can speculate.
Yeah, and we've talked about this with multiple films. Like, we can always speculate, we can always elaborate more on the story, and just put pieces together without actually. It's pretty much like just writing a book of fan fiction on expanding what we've watched or read. So that's basically what we're doing, is like just giving little expansions on what we think could have happened and what we think could go forward.
And this is why this movie didn't need a sequel.
With the same stars. See, Thomas Howell.
Yeah, like I didn't watch it. It's probably a movie I will never watch.
And the remake, look, everybody wants to remake stuff, but you can't capture the essence of the original.
Exactly, and because that's the other thing. Like, what would you remake with this movie? Like, if you make it less intense, it's bad.
They swapped genders. Nash became a man in the remake, and the lead protagonist is a woman.
Okay. It's like the easy way of doing the same thing again. But what do you want to do differently? If you make it tamer, then you lose the edge, and if you make it more brutal, then it's just more show and not tell. Like, no more like more tell and not show. It's like you can't do this movie better than the original already did it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, one of the criticisms of the remake was that it was gory.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look back at this film, they did it the best way.
Yeah. Not
making it too gory. You left the killing of Nash unseen, so it leaves it up to the interpretation of the viewer, and the viewer is sick to their stomach. They want this guy to go.
Yeah.
So we become Jim Halsey and say, take him out.
I think this movie is also one of the rare cases where everybody having the input from the production, from the director, from the finances, from the studios, etc., that they really came to a great conclusion. So this is very rare.
And Rutger Hauer probably in the movie for like a half hour. If you put all his scenes together, it's probably over a half hour. But yet,
it doesn't feel the way.
He dominates the film without being in the movie for a long period.
And that makes also a fantastic film. This is also why I loved it quote so much. Like, this is basically Jaws, but on the highway.
it really is a great film, and one that you won't watch for a good while, but when you do watch, it's a thrilling ride. Literally,
I'm probably good. I'm good for a few years.
But yeah, I'm glad we used this film to conclude our 3 weeks of Rutger Hauer.
Yeah, Rutger Hauer will be back on the show.
He will be back.
Yeah, but next week we're gonna have a movie that I actually watch quite more often.
Yeah,
which is my favorite end of summer movie.
Dazed and Confused. That's gonna be a treat, man.
That movie is soundtrack fantastic. It's like this, feels like this. It really captures the period quite well. You have so many young actors in there that later on became stars.
Yeah, I always like movies like that where you could just see actors who are big now, but when they're early roles, and they just like, man, he played that role, but it turned out well.
Still, I think it's like one of the best Ben Affleck roles.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch that, man. Because it's been a while since I watched that film. So I'm glad you brought it up because I was like, shit.
I remember when I was a teenager and I watched it, it always was like, my goal, like at the end of the summer, to getting late.
And like I said, with school starting, they had me watching 3 O'Clock High, and I was watching some. I was like, I want to watch some high school bully drama or bully comedies, man.
No, but I'm looking forward to it. Like it's a movie that I'm watching since like I was a teenager. Like I was like when I was at university, I watched it like always before the semester holidays end.
And one last thing I want to bring up about the Hitcher is that the movie was so brutal to Jim Halsey, who played by C. Thomas Howell, that he got a tan. He said, I'm gonna become an African American. And he went to become a black teenager in Soul Man. Later that same year. That was his I need to change my character, and he like, I'm gonna go blackface. That movie got so much heat.
Which
got the great James Earl Jones and Ray Don Chong.
Yeah. Which Leslie Nielsen movie was this again? Where it's like prison changes you. You used to be white.
I watched that movie a lot when I was a kid. Before I really realized what really that movie meant in terms of, blackface and all that. I enjoyed it as a kid. Then I got older, I stopped watching it. Maybe I need to revisit and see if I have the same.
And of course, like the audio track always like, we're coming for the gold, sucker. Good.
Oh man. It don't matter, man. If Hulk Hogan said hood and all that, word from the hood, we still coming for you, Hogan.
Yeah. It's gonna be a great wrestling weekend, by the way. GCW Homecoming. So I'm looking forward to some really nice extreme matches, and of course, most of all, like Mance Warner versus Joey Janela versus Christian Blake for the undisputed GCW heavyweight title. So it's gonna be awesome. And of course, then next Friday we're gonna have like this Confused, and Saturday it's the Bash in Berlin.
Yes.
Gunther, der Ringgeneral.
I'm actually looking forward to watching that.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I'm really looking forward, especially like to the audience. Like Berlin is a rough place.
I'm looking forward to watching that.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to mention?
Yeah, like I said, I had no idea how over Gunther is with the Undertaker. Just was like,
oh yeah, like, man, I love 6 Feet Under podcast.
Yeah,
I love that. That's right there with Chris Van Welt and stuff. Yeah. One of my favorite shows. And I just hearing the Undertaker just have casual conversations, laughing and stuff. it's still unreal to me. Like,
I
yo,
know,
30
but
plus years, this man's been in character mode.
yeah, but they need to keep him busy, otherwise he's gonna have a comeback and like, no, do your podcast.
Do the
Don't go
podcast,
into ring
man.
again.
The one with the Godfather is hilarious, man. I
Uh,
know you like hoes. You go way back.
I also love that one where he's like, with the snakeskin pants, where he's like, no, it was not the Godfather's pants.
But the Godfather looked like he would wear those.
Yeah.
And then the episode he had with Maven was also great.
Yeah. I'm talking about Godfather. I still think that the whole Papa Shango thing is totally underrated.
I like that he occasionally brings out Papa Shango for fan meets.
Yeah.
When I met Godfather a few years ago, he talked about, one of the things he liked doing is bringing back Papa Shango.
Yeah.
But he was a trip, man. I hope to meet him again.
I mean, everything is better than Kamal.
Kamal,
Kamal.
the Supreme Fighting Machine.
Yeah, that one didn't work.
Nah. Then he came back and joined the Nation.
Yeah, that worked, of course.
But once he became the Godfather, that was perfect. But when he went to the Good Father, he almost quit the company. All right, man. We're about to end the show.
Do you have any comic book hall crew?
I don't know if there's a show tomorrow, but I do know I'll be at Tampa Bay Comic Con tomorrow.
Nice.
So,
have you seen Alien Romulus?
I have not seen that yet. I'm hearing good things about it.
I just wish the movie would be half an hour shorter. I enjoyed it. I have mixed feelings about it. Everything that happens. Totally makes sense within the Alien canon, but naturally, I personally wish it would have ignored more movies that I ignore.
I know the face huggers play a bigger role in this.
That one is really good, and
I hated the face huggers.
Oh my
God.
Yeah,
they were much more creepier than the aliens, because at least the aliens, as big as they were and they could hide, at least you know what they look like. Them face huggers come out of nowhere. Oh,
this, it's not a spoiler. This time, for the first time, we're gonna see how a xenomorph molds.
Oh boy.
And let's just say, I think that Giga would be very proud about this, because you're gonna see how it looks. Giga would love it. Giga would love that. See.
I'm hoping to see it. If not, then I'll wait till it releases.
Yeah, but I recommend seeing it. This is one of the movies where I wish I could do like my own edit of it, because I think there's a way better movie in there than it was edited to be. But yeah, it's better than
Covenant?
3 and 4. Covenant is also better than Covenant. Prometheus is better, but Prometheus is also a movie that I want the fucking deleted scenes in.
I gotta rewatch Prometheus. I can't remember if we talked about it on our Alien stream, but I was like, I liked it and didn't like it at the same time. There was just something about that film that
I think the problem with it was that. Especially once I've seen the deleted scenes, and it was like, oh my god, if those would have been in, this movie would have been so much more intelligent. It's almost like, because it tingles so many cool things in front of your eyes, but then a lot of things feel just rushed, or you think like, I could have done this a little bit differently. It has so much promise, but I think Prometheus is really a movie that you have to accept the way it is, and then you can really enjoy it, despite there's so much more better stuff on the fucking cutting room floor.
Like I said, I definitely have to give that a rewatch and watch the deleted scenes, because, like I said, something about that movie threw me off, and I never really had the interest of rewatching it. I feel like when movies like do that to me, I just lack the interest of wanting to rewatch it.
For me personally, at the end of the day, it's Aliens, and the Dark Horse comics. That's my timeline.
Yeah. All right, man. We're about to end the show. We'll see y'all next week when we talk Dazed and Confused. This your boy Sean, BV. We are signing off. Have a great Friday, y'all, and a great week.